Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to use an app called StickPick. This app is great for calling on students, but also works really well for focusing on higher level questions and tracking your students' progress. So we're going to go ahead and launch the app. When you get into the app, you'll notice you're on a screen called Classes. Now, when you first start, you won't have anything here. I already have an example class made. But to create a class, it's very simple. You push the plus button, name the class, click Save. Now it's time to add students. So I'm going to click the plus button again. And you'll notice I have two options. I can add the students one by typing in their name and student ID if I want, or I can import. Now I can click Learn More, and that explains how to import from Dropbox. Basically, you're going to need a CSV file, which is basically an Excel file saved a certain way that has your students' names with the headers first name, last name, and again if you'd like student ID there. Then you save it to Dropbox and you'll select it from the app and it will import all the students at once for you. So that's a nice feature. Okay, once all your students are in, you'll be back at this classes page. Okay, I have my example class here, so I'll go into it. Okay, now notice when I click on the class, the bottom changes. I have settings, scores, roster, and sticks. So we're going to go ahead and click on sticks. Okay, once you click on sticks, you'll notice you have some cans. The top biggest can is the students that have not been called on, and then there's a bottom can in the little corner that's students that have been called on. So the simplest way to use this app is just to tap on the can and it will pull up a student's name. So this is Erica. I can ask Erica a question and then I can either reset her stick, so I could draw her again, or I can mark it as used. If I mark it as used, she'll go into that used bucket. And I can keep calling on students and keep track of who I've called on. Now you can reset the sticks by hitting the reset button at the bottom. Okay, and let's say you know you really want to call on a student because they're not paying attention, you kind of want them to get involved. You can hit the peek button and it will give you a list of your students in your can, and you can say I really need to talk to Maria, so I click her name and then I can mark her as used. Now that's the simplest way to use the StickPick app, is just to use it to call on students and to track who you've talked to. However, StickPick has a really neat feature that helps us to use higher level questions and to track our students' progress. So we're going to go back to the classes page. Okay, hit my example class, and again you'll notice at the bottom there are options, and I'm going to click on settings. Okay, you'll notice that there are some settings about shaking to pick, tapping to pick that you can change, or sounds. But what I want to focus on is the class default. Right now it's set as stick only. That's the only function we have, is we draw a stick, we get their name, and we mark it as used. But if I click that, I have some pretty cool options. It will ask me if I'm sure I want to change the default, and I say yes. And you'll notice that now I have some options of higher level questions. It's based on Bloom's questioning and taxonomy, and so I can choose a default level of questioning for my class. So let's say I'm really trying to get away from knowledge and basic comprehension and I really want to work on application. So I can select that and then say done. Now you'll notice that my default is Bloom's application. Okay, so I'll go back to my classes, click on example, and hit sticks. Okay, so same as before, I'm going to hit the can to draw on a student. But now you'll notice underneath the name of the student there are question stems, and you'll notice they're application question stems. So the example at the beginning, what examples can you find to support? So this gives you some question stems to work from right at the tip of your fingers when you call on a student. So let's say I ask Scott an application question and I want to track his progress. I can hit assess. Then I can say if it was correct or incorrect, and I'm going to say correct. Now you'll notice I have a rubric that I can rate him on. Well, I'd say his answer was pretty clear and accurate, so I'll leave it at a 4, and then I'm going to say mark his stick as used. All right, let's do that one more time. Call on a student. This is Becky. I ask her an application question using one of the stems. I'm going to assess her. This time she got it incorrect, so I can choose shows no understanding or she didn't respond. I'm going to put shows no understanding, and I will mark that as used. Now let's say I call on a student and I really can't make an application question work. That's fine. I don't have to push assess. I can just hit mark the stick as being used. Okay, now when I go into my roster, we're going to take a look at Becky here. And you'll notice that it tracks her responses. So it says on the 10th of February, she was asked a question at the application level, and she got it incorrect, and I rated her response at a 1. So it's really cool. It tracks their progress and tells you how well they're doing. The other nice thing about this program is you can differentiate. So let's say Christy struggles with application type questions and I want to move her back down to another level. So I can click edit and you'll notice the student default is application, but I can click here, say yes, I want to change it, okay, and I can put her back at comprehension if that's where I feel she needs the work, and click done. Okay, so now I'll go back to my sticks. I'm going to peek for her, Christy, and when I click on it, you'll notice that I'm getting comprehension question stems instead of application question stems. You can do the same thing to get a student to have a higher level question. Again, you'll just go to your roster. I'm going to choose Abigail here, and I'm going to say edit and change her default to being synthesis, and click done. And go back to my roster and my sticks, and I'm going to peek for her, and you'll notice she's getting synthesis questions. So again, once I ask her that type of question, I can either assess her, or if I just asked a regular question, I can reset the stick or mark it as used. So I hope you find this app useful in helping you to ask higher level questions.